If you thought the chaos inside Donald Trump's administration was just political theater, think again. Leaked text messages from inside the White House have just confirmed what many suspected: MAGA is at war with itself. And this isn't a minor disagreement, this is a full-scale internal collapse that threatens everything Trump has built. Senior officials are in panic mode. The messages reveal desperate conversations, frantic questions, and a growing recognition that the movement which powered Trump to victory is now fracturing from within. High-profile MAGA figures are turning against each other. Former allies are becoming fierce critics. And the administration has no clear plan to stop the bleeding, but it gets worse. While Trump's inner circle scrambles to contain the damage, new polling data shows the American public is turning away in record numbers. His approval ratings on key issues like the economy and healthcare have plummeted to historically low levels. And the policies his administration has pushed through are beginning to backfire in ways that even Republican lawmakers can't ignore. This is not just bad news for Trump. This is a political disaster unfolding in real time. And the leaked texts we're about to discuss prove that even his closest advisors know it.
You know, red states don't like that either. And that's the local nightly news in Oklahoma. You know things aren't going great, my dude. In the latest AP polling, Trump is minus 36 on the economy. 31% of the country approves of Trump on the economy. 67% disapproves. So Trump on the economy is underwater by 36 points. On healthcare, it's even worse. He's underwater by 40 points. And that poll ended before today, which is the deadline for people to sign up for their health plans under the ACA, which is tens of millions of people in this country. And those plans, the prices of those plans, the premium costs are skyrocketing in price because of what Trump and the Republicans did in his so-called big, beautiful bill. What they did to destroy health care premiums in terms of how expensive they are. What they did, that overt policy change they made that costs everybody's health insurance premiums to go through the roof, that starts hitting people officially today. Trump and the Republicans caused it. They have not been able to fix it. And Trump is already 40 points underwater on healthcare even before that starts hitting people. I mean, there's a lot going on right now. And frankly, all of it that points back to the Trump administration and its own actions right now is basically a debacle. Right? We're going to talk about the huge mess and very public failures at the FBI in just a couple of minutes. But beyond that, at the VA, we've got the Trump administration cutting 35,000 healthcare jobs. Because Merry Christmas, veterans. That's what Donald Trump and the Republicans think of veterans' healthcare. They are cutting 35,000 doctors and nurses and other healthcare jobs at the VA. Merry Christmas. At FEMA, which has not exactly been distinguishing itself under the Trump administration, ask Texas, Trump is now putting in charge of the key emergency response division there, the Office of Response and Recovery. Trump is putting in charge of that a man who has no discernible emergency response experience whatsoever. But he is a guy who said the election was stolen from Trump, not only in 2020, but also in 2016. Now, you may recall, 2016 is an election Trump won. But this guy says that one was also stolen from Trump, even though Trump won it. Now his reward is that Trump is putting him in charge of running response and recovery for the U.S. federal government at FEMA. That's going to be real popular, too, I'm sure. Listen, you do unpopular things, and you end up unpopular. Donald Trump is as unpopular as he has ever been. And smart politicians all over the country are figuring that out. Gavin Newsom, Democratic governor of California, is crowing today about California chasing Trump's illegal National Guard deployment out of this state. Gavin Newsom is also hiring away from Washington, D.C., from Trump's now broken federal government, the most prominent public health officials in the country and therefore in the world. He's hiring them away to leave Washington and come work for California instead, where their work is valued and they can do world-class public health work here. Come work for a real government, not the clown show that Trump is operating in Washington when he's not sneering at murder victims.
Let those numbers sink in for a moment. Trump is underwater by 36 points on the economy. That means for every person who approves of his economic policies, more than 2 people disapprove. On healthcare, it's even worse, he's down by 40 points. These aren't just bad poll numbers. These are indicators of a fundamental loss of public trust. And what makes this particularly damaging is the timing. Because right now, millions of Americans are being hit with skyrocketing healthcare premiums that increased directly because of legislation Trump and congressional Republicans pushed through earlier this year. The subsidies that kept Affordable Care Act insurance affordable for 22 million Americans were cut. And the result? Average premium costs are doubling. Not rising slightly. Doubling. For families already struggling with cost of living increases, this is devastating. And they know exactly who to blame. Republican lawmakers in swing districts are feeling the heat. Town halls are becoming confrontational. Constituent phone lines are lighting up with angry calls. And the political fallout is starting to look unavoidable. Because unlike messaging problems that can be spun away, this is a tangible, real-world consequence that voters are experiencing in their bank accounts right now. And Trump's response. According to reports, when asked about the healthcare crisis, he reportedly told advisors, "Don't make it sound so bad." That's not a strategy. That's denial. But while the administration tries to downplay one crisis, another is exploding behind the scenes. The MAGA civil war, according to leaked text messages obtained by political news outlet Zdio, senior Trump officials are receiving a flood of panicked messages asking what the White House plans to do about Candace Owens. Once one of Trump's most vocal defenders, Owens has now become one of his harshest critics from within the conservative movement. And she's not alone. Tucker Carlson, Meghan Kelly, and other prominent right-wing voices have begun openly challenging Trump's decisions, his policies, and his leadership. The fracture reached a breaking point at Turning Point USA's America Fest conference, where figures like Ben Shapiro publicly attacked Owens and Carlson for what he called conspiratorial nonsense. This isn't just a disagreement over policy. This is a battle for the soul of the MAGA movement. And the leaked texts show that Trump's team is deeply worried. One senior Trump official, speaking anonymously, told reporters, "I have gotten so many texts asking, what are you guys going to do about Candace Owens? What can I do? Delete the internet?" Another Trump administration appointee was even more blunt, "Our MAGA civil war is spreading. All hell is breaking loose in MAGA." Think about that for a second. These aren't Democratic operatives. These aren't mainstream media critics. These are people inside Trump's own administration admitting that the movement is collapsing from within.
Deadline for Americans who want to sign up for health insurance for January 1st under the Affordable Care Act. That deadline is midnight tonight, less than 3 hours from now. Because of what Trump and the Republicans did this year, because they decided to cut off the subsidies that support that health insurance program, 22 million Americans who get their health care from the ACA are about to see dramatic increases in what the premiums will cost. And I mean dramatic increases. The average person's going to be paying double what they paid before. On average, doubling. Now, to be clear, the reason those costs are about to skyrocket is not because of inflation or some new unforeseen problem in our healthcare system. This is an entirely man-made problem. It is entirely a Republican-made crisis. This is a we hit the wrong button problem. Oops, we flipped the wrong switch. Now what's happening? A problem created entirely by President Trump and the Republicans in their legislation that they passed this year. And this disaster, this impending economic disaster for more than 20 million Americans has led to a deluge of pressure on frontline swing district Republicans who are hearing now from very unhappy citizens in their home districts who are being put in a totally untenable position. I mean, headline from the Washington Post, rank and file Republicans feel heat from constituents on health care. Headline from the Associated Press, swing district Republicans brace for political fallout if health care subsidies expire. Headline from Politico, frontline GOPers caught in healthcare jam. I mean, despite all of that pressure and their recognition that actually this is a real problem, this is not a messaging problem, this is a real problem. Republicans still haven't been able to get it together to do anything. And that's in part because they have a problem at the top. Their leader, their president, has been totally AWOL on this. His main contribution to the discussion about this problem thus far has been to say about what's about to happen to people's health insurance. He said, quote, "Don't make it sound so bad." Trump dismisses question about skyrocketing healthcare costs. Quote, "You make it sound so bad." Quote, "Well, don't make it sound so bad. It's really bad, but please don't say so." That's his plan. Meanwhile, we're also seeing his administration really destroy the world's gold standard public health system, firing experts at the CDC, installing a whole flock of quacks in the upper echelons of the nation's health agencies, rolling out, inevitably, a QAnon convention's wish list of bizarre changes to vaccine protocols that seem to be mostly based on things people read in the comments section on YouTube videos. As I mentioned earlier, this weekend we learned that the Trump administration also plans to eliminate more than 30,000 healthcare jobs at the Department of Veterans Affairs. So Merry Christmas to veterans on that one. The hollowing out of our public health systems in this country under Donald Trump has led to a really interesting dynamic that we've been keeping an eye on for a few months here. Democratic-led states essentially picking up the slack where our federal public health systems are being destroyed. This is something that could really fundamentally reshape governance in this country and how we live. It could fundamentally reshape the difference between states and what it's like in blue state America versus red state America. I mean, you may remember back in August when Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. abruptly fired the head of the CDC. It led to a wave of resignations from other top officials at that agency. Well, today, California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom announced that he has hired that former CDC director and the chief medical officer who quit along with her. Those two former CDC officials will now lead California's effort to, quote, fill the vacuum left by the Trump administration's systematic retreat from science and evidence-based public health. Joining us now is Dr. Deborah Howry. She's former chief medical officer at the CDC and now officially a senior advisor to the State Department of Health in California. Dr. Howry, I really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So what is this new initiative, this advisory role that you're taking on? What is it that you're going to be doing?
Yeah, so as senior medical advisor, I'm really going to be helping look at not just California, but other states in the region to see how they can look at improving data exchange, how they can look at preparing for pandemics, looking at laboratory tests. And the other thing is, with the withdrawal of the U.S. from the World Health Organization, looking at how California can really work globally to ensure that Californians and others in the region are prepared for any global health threats as well.
California is a big state, a populous state. It's a big economy. It's a big, well-run state government. It can sort of stand on the national stage just because of its own gravity. But I wonder, coming from the federal government, now to be working on this state-based project that you're going to be part of, the state-based approach at least, what you think about the capacity of the federal government versus the capacity of even big, strong states like California to tackle some of the kinds of problems that you're talking about looking at?
Well, I think states have to tackle it because right now the federal government is not. You know, we're seeing a complete lack of leadership from the secretary. And as you'd mentioned, you know, in your opening, just talking about like the vaccine panel and things like that, when you can't trust a lot that's coming out of the federal agency, states and regional groups really do need to step up and provide.
This moment represents something significant. Democratic-led states are not waiting for federal dysfunction to resolve itself. They're stepping up. California is now hiring top public health officials who resigned or were fired from federal agencies under Trump. These experts are being brought in to build state-level systems that can operate independently of Washington, and this isn't just happening in California. Other blue states are watching closely and beginning to follow suit. What we're witnessing could be a fundamental reshaping of how governance works in America, a scenario where blue states provide robust public services while red states remain dependent on a hollowed-out federal system that no longer functions effectively. As of late December 2025, this trend is accelerating. More public health experts, scientists, and policy specialists are leaving federal positions and moving to state governments where their work is valued and supported. This brain drain is weakening federal agencies even further, creating a vicious cycle that Trump's administration seems unable or unwilling to address. The question now isn't whether Trump's term is in trouble, it's how much worse things will get before something breaks completely. The internal fighting within MAGA shows no signs of stopping. The policy failures are piling up faster than the administration can respond. And public approval continues to crater. For those who believe in accountability, in evidence-based policy, and in government that actually serves the people, this moment demands action. Continued pressure. Relentless scrutiny. And a refusal to let this administration escape responsibility for the chaos it has created, because the truth is becoming impossible to hide. Trump's administration is collapsing under the weight of its own failures. And the American people are starting to realize it.